Morning, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School, and I just got back from a 2-mile, what I would call speed trek. In other words, I'm trying to elevate my pace for 2 miles to get the best time that I can get over that 2 miles. Now, I didn't do as well as I wanted to. It actually took me a little over 15-minute miles. I went to 33 minutes and a few seconds, I think, on the 2 miles. It is uneven, rough terrain with a lot of unsure footing and some busting brush, avoiding stickers and things like that. But all in all, that's okay with me because I'm improving from the last time I did this same exercise. I'm carrying about a 35 pound pack, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the reason I shot this video today is I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about what I call bush fit. And we talked about that several videos ago. We talked a little bit about bush fit and packing up your kit and carrying that. And recently, a buddy of mine, Tony Daniel, one of my instructors at school, has introduced me to Go Ruck. And Go Ruck is a fantastic thing, I believe. It is great for getting people outdoors, getting people exercise in a group environment, and just getting them more physically fit and off the couch. I think that's fantastic. You know, I was doing videos carrying a rucksack down a railroad track bed in 2008, 2009, and using that rucksack for resistance type training, very similar to what Go Ruck does in their most basic sense. And I think that that's always a viable option. And for a woodsman or for a bushcrafter, for an outdoorsman, I think it's a perfect option because you're training with the real world things that you're going to be carrying and manipulating in the wild. And if you can't carry your desired backpack and whatever it weighs and your gear over distance, then you become a liability to yourself, but you also become a liability to anybody that you may be with when you're out recreating. If something were to happen and you get injured or you can't go on, you suffer, you know, from some kind of an injury due to your fitness level. All of those things make it different. So I think that actively working to maintain physical fitness is a very, very important part of what we do as outdoorsmen. And it's something that we teach at a most basic level at our basic class here at the Pathfinder School. One of the very first things that we do is we take people and we help them to put on all of the equipment that they brought with them that they thought they needed, and we take them out into the woods to do several exercises along the way that are related to your immediate survival, from how to identify and collect tinder sources to identifying certain types of trees and things along those lines. But we take them over the course of about 3.5 to 4 miles in about an hour and a half or 2 hours, and they have to carry a lot of firewood back with them when they come back to camp. So as they go, they're increasing the weight that they're carrying along with what they already chose to carry. And so that goes back to what I talked about a long time ago when we talked about pack weight. And 35 pounds really, to me, is the limit. I think if you go over 35 pounds, you should be looking at conveyance. If I'm going to carry more than 35 pounds worth of stuff, I want a canoe, kayak, an ATV, a horse, something that's going to help lighten that load so I'm not carrying over 35 pounds. But you can get your rucksack for an overnight or even for a weekend way below 35 pounds very, very easily. We're going to talk about that a little more in this video, or in this series, I should say. We're going to talk a little bit more about the basics of doing this, what I would call New World trekking. And I think that trekking in its definition is an arduous journey over distance, very similar to rucking. Trekking in the 18th century terminology coined by Mark Baker is really trekking over distance with the intent to camp, carrying only the accoutrements that you would need on that journey that were available in that time period of the 18th century, whatever time period you've chosen to reenact. So if you combine those things in my 21st century long hunter type mentality, what I'm looking at is a New World trekking type situation where I'm going to use more modern type gear. I'm going to try to lighten my load but still have that bulletproof, bomb-proof gear that I can abuse and use, but cover all my bases with the 10 C's to make sure that I've got what I need for an overnight camp or a weekend camp, but be able to carry that pack over distance in some semblance of time. So I'm not talking about doing 5 miles over 2 days. I'm talking about doing 5 miles, you know, in an hour and a half or 2 hours. So with that said, we're going to continue in our Bush Fit series a little bit with our New World trekking mentality. We're going to talk about the gear that I've been using for quite a while now to do this type of stuff with, how I've selected that gear and pared it down. We're going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to do some reviews of a couple of things to include Go Ruck's rucksacks, because I bought recently a Go Ruck rucksack. I'm waiting on the plate to come in now so that I can actually try and see how that feels if I want to do something where I'm not planning to stay out there. But I can take that pack and throw some emergency essentials in there like anyone would into a day pack if I need to train with that pack, because I think there is some usefulness in that as well. But for the common man, for every day, find yourself a decent rucksack like this old military pack here that's woodland camouflage. It's made out of 1,000 denier material. You're probably never going to destroy it. You can easily get to 10 Cs and a little bit more in there, and it will do you for what you need to do. And once you pack it with your gear, it's probably going to weigh what it needs to weigh anyway. But I would start with trying to carry just your backpack and a few accoutrements over a couple miles at a time. And do that for a week or 2 weeks and see how you do. That will help you build up your endurance level. And then you can add more resistance by adding more weight, which will help you to gain strength as well. But try to work up to that 35 pounds, and that's where I say the Go Ruck stuff comes in to play, because I think that by being able to add those plates in, if my pack has been pared down to say 20, 22 pounds, and I've got everything I need in there, I want to train at a higher level than that. So I may throw that Go Ruck on with 30, 35 pounds in there, and I may train with that, knowing that when the time comes, this is going to be a piece of cake. Because I always want to train to a higher level than I'm going to expect myself to be able to succeed at in a woodland environment. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. I appreciate you joining me for this video today, and I appreciate everything you do for our school, for our family, for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.